So the title is courtesy of ChatGPT. So rule number 1 of product pictures. Do not try to save money, time, or effort in your pictures, especially your main picture. This is one mistake that I see some people doing. Like, I just want to get my product there, and I'm gonna put whatever I can find, and it's not a good idea. This is it's like your salesperson. So your main picture, it's super important. So, and here's an example. Which one would you prefer? So we have that one, and we have the second one. Which one is better for you? One on the right, yes. There are so many things there: the lighting, the contrast, and the box, the packaging in the one in the left or the right here. It's not perfect, so it's much better the other one, the lighting. So even something subtle like that will make an impact in your click-through rate.
We went with the one on the right?
Yeah, the right.
I like the one on the right better. What do you think about the argument of, like, unless I'm already interrupted, but, like, what do you think about the argument of filling the image or filling the white space?
It depends on the category. In this one, the images are kind of like vertical, so that one was perfect. But I mean, it depends, like how the full image, the composition looks. But in this case, I think it's much more eye-catching, the one in the left.
Also, the ones that are vertical are, you feel the whole screen in the phone, like in the browser.
Yeah.
You see it like it's smaller, but most people buy in
That's
their
true.
phone, so vertical images are always better.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll go against the whole crowd and say I like the one on the left.
Okay.
I kind of like
It's an Egyptian thing.
But also like the little details. You see the one in this one. You see the logo and the light looks better. Just the contrast and the glass looks better. It's just like more eye-catching. So rule number 2. Gather feedback from your target audience, preferably, or at least ask around, and use common sense, and use all the market research tools that we have. There are so many tools that we can use. It's important to use as much as we can. And this is very important, like the target audience. When we're launching a product, sometimes it's like, oh, I think this is what will look nice, but we don't really actually know because we have asked nobody. So it's very important to actually do the research and invest time here. Remember, rule number 1 is like, don't save effort and time into your images. And well, that's just a picture of one of the tools. I'm gonna touch on the different tools on another slide. So rule number 3, analyze the hell out of your competitors. So there are so many things on Amazon, so much information in there, so we can actually get a lot of things, a lot of information just by looking and analyzing what other people are doing. Every category, every niche is different and has different type of images that work better, so it's always a good idea to spend a lot of time looking at what's working for other people there. And go back to rule number 1. So the main image. Your goal for the main image is to sell the click. You're not selling the product there, you're selling the click. So you need to catch attention with the main image. It's the difference between being profitable or not. So you can even like split test this. The click-through rate that you should be getting with a good image is above 0.5%. You can measure this with PPC and other parts of the dashboard, but usually just try to see which image is getting more clicks.
Quick question. You can measure that on the PPC traffic, I know, but also on the organic traffic, you can see the click-through rate or not?
I think you can. There's do you know Carlos? Yeah.
There's a bunch of reports you can put together to tell a pretty complete story of that.
Yeah. So what I notice, at least in the PPC data, is that when the product is above 0.5, usually I'm in a good place. So recommendations for the main image. So the main thing for me is having a good contrast. Clear and high-res pictures, great lighting, preferably no cutouts or ultra fake shadows. I'm sure you've seen those pictures that are like super fake shadows or things made in Photoshop. Try to avoid that stuff, especially in your main image. And having elements of contrast, which is the thing Carlos was talking about, the red dot, it's just having something in your image that will make it stand out. And we will have some examples. So examples of really good pictures. Usually perfumes have like really nice pictures. That's like super clear. The lights are very nice, and the shades and the gradients and everything just looks very nice. So aim to have something like that. I know not in every product is possible depending on the materials, but just aim to have something really eye-catchy. For example, this one is just very clear that you can almost feel what are the textures of each part of the product. Like you feel the leather, you feel the plastic. So just by looking at it, because it's very sharp and very clear. So try to have something like that. Elements of contrast. So this is an example of a Chinese product. And it's the same product, and it actually both of them work together. So one, it just has more contrast than the other. And well, they also added the phone in there, but it's basically the same product, just with a little more contrast. And it's much more eye-catchy, the one that has contrast. So try that. Like even if you just take one thing from this presentation, just try to increase the contrast of your main picture, and you will probably see an improvement. The packaging, like if you in private label, we always have the freedom to work with our packaging. So if we can design it, it's always a good idea to use bright colors and colors that will stand out, because that will help us to get more clicks on the main picture. And that's an example, right? It's the same product, but the one in the left is just stands out because of the colors. And also the reflection. You see the one in the left, it's much more black and has this white reflection there. Is just like more attractive.
Can you actually go back? Quick question about, so in that case, so if the size of that lens is the same for both images, in the case of the left, is not proportional to the box, correct?
Could be. I don't even know if it's the same size both, but could be. But it doesn't really matter, because it's really about selling the click. Like inside of the listing, you will clarify everything.
So you're saying the one on the left right now, the lens obviously looks bigger than the box? Or you're saying,
Yeah, it doesn't look proportional relative to the
Yeah.
box, right?
Yeah, it looks bigger than the box.
I don't know how you even caught that, but that's like, now I need to see it. Yeah. This was got a question several questions online, but I'll start putting them in when you're there. But do you have a company that you recommend to send your products to, so they can take high quality pics, images, video, etc.?
I found one person here in the area in Fort Lauderdale that I've been. No, it's a guy called Blath. I don't know if anyone worked with him. I need to find his website, but he's in Fort Lauderdale actually, and I've been sending some of my products there, and he usually comes up with a really nice and crisp picture.
Can you find him afterwards and send
Yeah, I'm gonna find his details. So don't be afraid of using digital reflections when possible. And this is an example. if we take a picture, like a real picture of that product, it might be boring because there are not a lot of colors, but we can add something like that because of the material. So if your product allows it, try to have something like that to make it look really cool. The right amount of contrast and good lighting. So this is comparison between the two products that are very similar. It's just like black backpacks, but the one has like too much contrast and doesn't have enough lighting. So it's very, very important. And we can see there also the elements of contrast with the cell phone. That's like orange.
The red dot.
Yeah, and some of the red dots. Yeah. So this is the element of contrast, the red dot. We can actually find this on many products, and it's really something that brands are using, or they use like to make the product like more premium. It looks like a bit more premium, and it helps a lot for images. So for example, that is just the tag that is red. In this case, it's just the element of contrast. In the backpack, we have that line that's red. In these tools, we have the little red thing in there. And it doesn't need to be red all the time. Like for example, there they're just using orange juice to have the same effect. So it's especially if your product is like one color, like black or gray, try to have something like this that will make it stand out.
May I ask here a quick question? Is that part of the design? Like, is that the real product, or do you think that someone just changed the color to the brand?
Well, ideally is the real product, like having that for real, because it will actually help when the people get the product. Like it's usually something that looks nice. Like maybe if you have something like this and you just have like one button in red, that makes it look like different and nice. So ideally, but I mean, if you don't have anything like that, you could add something like the oranges in there, just like an element in Photoshop that will create a similar effect. Questions so far or comments?
I'd like to ask like a general question. So when you look for a photographer or videographer, do you tend to want to spend more for higher quality? So for videography, would you ever see yourself spending $8,000 to $10,000 on a video shoot, and then on photography like more than $3,000, $4,000?
I would do that in the case of the product being successful already. I wouldn't start with that. Like I would probably start with, with something mid-rate, I don't know, maybe like $1,000 for the full package of pictures. But then if it becomes successful, then it's worth it to invest. In the case that I actually need something better, especially with video. Video, like if you invest in something really good, like it's totally worth it. And that can be expensive. And also one thing I do for video, since I'm from Mexico, so there it's much cheaper. So usually I do my video there, and so I'm able to get like models and really nice locations and everything, and I pay maybe like $1,000 for a really good video. But here I'm gonna need to like a bigger budget. Okay, so.
So, excuse me, how much do you think it's reasonable to invest for a picture, for your front picture?
It's not necessary to overpay, but if you get, for example, this guy in Fort Lauderdale, I think he charges like $70 per picture.
I spend about $1,000 on my makeup.
For one picture?
Well, I wind up getting several that I wind up testing, so I don't just go get one and that's it.
That's true.
I wind up putting about $1,000, but I'm also experimenting between photo and I'm also experimenting with 3D render.
Okay.
So I'm not sure which one's going to happen. And the 3D renders, a lot of the times, at least in my experience, cheap 3D renders really suck.
Yeah.
Cheap 3D renders are extremely expensive.
But really good 3D renders are expensive. So
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we have a solution for you guys if you're interested, right? Because since we are launching, we are trying to help new entrepreneurs to launch, so we offer that kind of service, right? We have around $50,000 of equipment for doing that, right? So it's not promoting ourselves, but it's our main
not promoting, but
no, because I am their first customer, right? Because I was in the same spot, not knowing how to do it, right? And I spent a lot and mistakes. So one of our goals is, to help.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so continuing with the elements of contrast, we see that this happens like in big brands as well. Like for example, Sony, he's in this camera lens. So you see the model that's a bit more premium has that element. And I'm not saying they're doing it to get more clicks, but it kind of works like that. Size matters. So when the product is like very small or very big or something, it's important to have something like that, or it's good to have something like that in the main image, so you understand the size of the thing. And so here's another example. Also, every product is different. So in some cases, if you have something like that, like it's like a table that folds and all of that, so it's important to show that in the picture, so people know what they're gonna see. Otherwise, like if you don't show it, they click and they find out that it folds, and maybe that they don't like that, so your conversion might go down. So it's important in the case that you have something like that. And talking about 3D renders, yes, they work great for some products, and it's important to invest to have something really good quality. Usually electronics have the best renders, and they add like these lights and these colors to make it look more cool. So it's some products work better than others for 3D renders. In some cases, I call this the super full image. So in some cases, you see those type of images that are like 1,000 products in there. Sometimes that works really, really good. And that's like what Carlos was mentioning, like filling the whole space. Well, some cases it really helps because it increases the perceived value of what you're buying. It looks like you're buying like a I don't know, 1,000 things there. So it justifies a higher price sometimes. But it's important to have to do it with a good taste. Like some of those are not my favorite, but you can always do it like in a way that looks professional and nice. And one thing you can do there, you can add the element of contrast there. Maybe one of those little bottles, you can make it in red, so that will stand out for sure. Mm-hmm.
Question came in, I think it was on the previous thing you were speaking about. Can you share the video company in Mexico?
Oh, that's just like a personal contact. That yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna see some bad examples of main pictures. So these are some that I found when I was doing the presentation. This one is blurry, it's overexposed, the colors are not really showing, not really well, and it's like all blurry and not professional. This one was a little bit better, but it has like these hard cuts, no shadows, so it looks a bit weird. And they have this cheap insert right at the middle of the picture, so I wouldn't do that. Like if you want to show your insert, which I wouldn't do, at least have it on the side or something. So another bad example is something like that. Like the picture is not bad on itself, but it's confusing. Like it has this other bag in front of the backpack, so it's not easy to see what is what and what you're buying.
What would you do differently?
I would put it on the side, maybe. The other bag.
Would you like the green could act as a contrast.
Yeah, but there are ways to do it without like overlapping with the other product. And also having too much white space or wasted space. This is also that's common, especially in some of the products that are hard to. Some products are really hard to make it feel the full square. So, but there is always a way to be creative and do it better. So in this case, they are not really doing a good job there. Okay, so now let's talk about the rest of the images. So your goal with the rest of the images is to actually get the sale, to convert. So you already have people looking at your product, at your listing. So now you have the rest of the images to get the sale. The first thing to know what to put in there, you need to know your customer. You need to know the target audience. So the time you invest here, it's going to have the highest ROI. This is the best thing that you can do, is to invest time knowing who is your actual customer. And what else can you do to know your customer? Like, think outside of the box. Like, if you can go to physical events, or if you can actually find a way where they gather and just learn more about them. All of that information, or those extra steps, are things that people don't do. So that's gonna help you to have like a different angle and perspective on how to promote your product. And then using all the tools, all the market research tools that we have, and we're gonna mention some here. So the first one is called Shulex. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's basically ChatGPT for Amazon reviews. It's like a Chrome extension. It will gather all the information from the reviews, and it will give you like a summary of everything. It has like a free extension which has like limited information, and then you can pay for the full thing. I think it's a bit expensive. It's like $100 a month. They have coupons and things, but it's useful. So another one, it's called Prolific. This one is like a market research tool, and you can create studies there, and they will get the people to get you the information.
Say that again.
Prolific. I'm gonna touch on each one like on a next slide. And then we have Intellivai, which is very similar to Picfu, very similar, and we have Picfu, of course. So each one of those. So Shulex looks like that. That's the free extension. It gives you like all the pros and the cons that people are mentioning on the reviews based on the frequency that they're mentioning the word. So like if they're saying like it breaks, and many people mention breaks, it will show there like it breaks. So it helps also when doing product research and product development. It's a great tool to take a look at what's working and what's not working, and that will help a lot. Okay, so the next one is Prolific. I haven't used this one myself, but I've been getting more and more people recommending it. So it's a bit complex. I was playing with it yesterday. There is like a huge thing that you need to fill, but basically you connect a form like a Google form or something else to collect data from your audience. And they have like AI and other cool stuff.
Good question. Usually, like, because we're talking about collecting data, so we are Picfu users, and I love it. And there's also an option to how to download the CSV file. The question is, what are you going to do with the data? Are you categorizing? Are you looking at which is the most important thing that I should implement right away? What is the hardest thing to implement right away? Giving you the example of like, just put there some oranges and it's going to pop already, or it's like, this looks really bad and I cannot do anything, I really have to change whatever. Or what is your thought process once that you get the information? That's my question.
Well, usually what I do with Picfu is like, if I already have 2 or 3 pictures, I will test them like what I already have. If I don't have them, well, then it's really like I have the freedom to test any theory, right? Like the oranges. Like, okay, that's cheap. I don't need to invest in anything more than just like the Photoshop. But if I have a theory that's something much more complex, well, I need to decide if I want to invest into doing that test.
And you were talking at the beginning of the presentation about looking at your competitors. How are you scouting them? Are you looking at which are the best sellers? I'm going to compare my product to it. I'm going to compare them between or like what is the process?
Well, basically the main thing I do when I'm looking at competitors are, the sales, what's working best in my price range, because the niche might have like a lot of different things. But if it's the very similar product, very similar price range, then see what's working for them. Like it's not necessary that the images are perfect, but if I see elements that I like, so it's like, okay, I might try this. And also like not trying just to copy everything, because a lot of times they don't even have the best listings, like they are missing information. So having your own research and knowing who's your customer, that's gonna be the number one thing for sure. But just like looking at what everybody else is doing, it's a great benchmark. Then this is the other tool that's very similar to PickFu. I think it's a bit cheaper, and the interface is really cool. And we have PickFu as well, which I think is one of the oldest. So recommendations for the rest of the images. So obviously having various angles and perspectives, showing the product in use, having lifestyle pictures. The point of the lifestyle pictures are basically to showcase emotion. You want to touch on emotion. Like we buy much more on emotions than on logic. And so avoiding like ultra fake things in there, it's important. Showing size ratio when it's appropriate. Highlighting any unique features that your product might have. Answering the most common questions visually. It's very important that you're able to answer a question like very quickly just by looking at the picture, not having to read a whole blob of text. Any pictures like setups or installation steps. If it's something easy, if it's something super complex, don't put it there. And try to have like only one message or topic per image, because I've seen many images that they're trying to communicate like 3 different things, and it just gets confusing. Remember that we are in the era of TikTok and the 5 seconds attention span, so it's like people don't really spend time reading anything. So just a few examples of these things, different angles. Make sure to show your products in all ways, because people will have the question, like for example in that jacket, like how does it look from the inside? So having the picture, it's obviously very important. The backpack, different angles to see how it looks. Showing products in use. So for example, I found that bowl that people sit on that, and so just showing the different ways that you can use it. You can sit on it, you can put it on your back, and preferably have like real pictures. I know it's much cheaper to just Photoshop things, but real pictures really increase the perceived quality of your products. Products in use, we have those things in there, and it's also possible to have like some text in there if it's relevant.
Todd's asking, what was the tool you recommended instead of, he said PickFu. Kind of mess with Todd. What is the tool you used instead of PickFu?
Instead of PickFu? Yeah, so IntelliBuy, it's an alternative. I don't really recommend one or the other. It's like you can test both. And like the other one is much more complex, but I've been hearing that it's very, very powerful, is the Prolific one. So these are products in use. Lifestyle, these are examples of lifestyle pictures. It's really to convey an emotion. Like, for example, there, it's like you have, like, it doesn't even make sense, right? Like the guy's holding the perfume, the girl's holding the perfume too, and it doesn't make sense, but it's just showing an emotion. So that's what we want with lifestyle pictures. Yeah. What was that?
I know my wife's listening, I'll say it communicates not married, just dating.
And these, for example, like you see the guy having fun, and it's about the headphones, but it's really about the experience that you're gonna have with the product. So really having that in mind, that you're gonna convey an emotion. Because sometimes we just want to show our product, like how cool the product is, but let's remember that people buy because of emotions. So size ratio, it's important to show the size of everything, because that's one of the main complaints that people have, and one of the main reasons why people return things. It's because of the inappropriate size. So having like a hand or another object where there is like a perspective, it's very important to have in your listings. Something like that. For example, there they're using the iPhone to compare with the fan, and then they're putting in the purse. Showcasing unique features. There are like some products that is not, or some things that is not so easy to communicate, like something that's lightweight. So here they're using like a feather, and I think that's very clever and very, very cool. So thinking some things like that is useful. Like it's easy to, you look at the pictures and you immediately understand that it's a lightweight product. And then when you have something like this that you want to show so many pieces of information, it's still possible to do. Nobody's gonna read through everything, but at least you transmit the idea that that filter has like it's the best filter ever, right? Because it has so many things in there, but nobody's gonna read in it. So answering questions in the pictures, this is also very powerful. If you use that tool, the Schulex tool, or even if you just use ChatGPT or just look at the reviews yourself, you will discover what are the most common questions people are having, or maybe look at the questions and answers section and take the most popular question and put it there in a picture. For example, with this ball product, they were having this apparently a complaint that it was not filling correctly, so they're answering that there. And also the size, because there was 2 different sizes. Also these, like if your product comes compressed to reduce the size, like show something like that, like after washing it, it will have the full size. That's one of the main complaints that people are gonna have, like, oh no, this product looks nothing like what you're advertising. Well, it's because it's coming compressed. And it seems obvious, but it's important to have it in the listing somehow. So pictures with setups and installations, like that. I mean, it's not something that you will look in 5 seconds, but if you're really interested in how to actually set up this thing, well, you can take a look at the picture. Or you can make something more light, like in that case, all the steps. And I like the colors in that one, how they stand out, and it's just easy to read. And another example of the steps and communicating things with
Putting a hand towel.
yeah, and communicating things like with fewer words. Like I really like this one, like assemble in 5 minutes, and it's just like it's just very simple. So always think in terms of simplicity. one message per image. So in this case, they're talking about the packaging that you can carry it with you, and you can also use it. I mean, they're talking about the carry thing, so you can also use it as a pocket in the hammock. And or you can like mention. And in this case, they have two variations, so they're just talking about the size. So it's just one thing per image. Then also upselling and cross-selling your products in your images. Sometimes this is better done in the EBC or A+ content, but those are examples. Upselling, it's really showing your other variations, so they might buy more than just one. And cross-selling is showing the other products that your brand has. So if they're buying the hammock, they might be buying the pillow and whatever else you have. Photoshop products, like keep to a minimum. And these are examples when it's done right. I mean, you can barely see that it's photoshopped. And then it's much, I mean, you can save some money there instead of having a model doing all of that. So in that case, it's okay to save if it's done really well like that. And this is another example of in a scenario that you can use Photoshop, because otherwise it's going to be problematic to create all of that. I mean, but depending on your budget. And bad examples. So usually Chinese sellers are the ones doing this. It's just like nothing, like the colors are terrible. It looks like a 7-year-old did this on Word. So just try to avoid, hopefully nobody's doing this here, but some US sellers are actually doing similar things sometimes, so just avoid this. And also too much information in both. Fake size. When using Photoshop, sometimes this happens, like the designer doesn't get the size right, so it looks completely off like that, like it's not that the real size of that product. Or poorly designed images like that. It also looks like it was done in PowerPoint or something, so avoid that. Big blobs of text like this. I mean, it's a nice image. It has a render and everything, but there is a bunch of text and nobody's going to read through that. And same thing for the other picture. It's just all the text is unnecessary. Like, or any of you actually read that? Like, no. Yeah, usually I've never seen anybody that reads all of that. So this is another bad example. When you're trying to communicate too many things, it's just hard to read and to understand what's going on there. And there are much better ways to communicate. In this case, the helmet, it has the ability to, apparently to connect via Bluetooth with the phone or something. But there are much better ways to communicate that. Or also something like this where the colors are not helpful, like they have like white text in that background, so it's not that easy to read. So it's very important to have the right colors. Also, like really bad photoshopped images like this, it just looks fake and it doesn't really help the product. It's not because I see that they're having this product next to the bed, I'm gonna buy it. Like it doesn't really communicate an emotion. It's not useful. Or like terribly done pictures like that. Like they're just taking the product and using a random image of a fake plant to shed some light in there. So that's weird. Yeah, it's really bad. So, well, I found this product, this really cool product, and you can.
I bought this, so I have some feedback on this.
Well, the product is amazing. Like I saw it, it's like I want it. And then they have these pictures, so it's really bad. And I found that in this category, in toys, usually they have all those horrible pictures. So if anybody's planning on selling something, toys might be a good idea because you can create like a much better listing than pretty much everybody else.
They smell so bad. My son's like monster truck, dinosaur type of thing, so dino trucks is, my wife won't let him, no, the smell is like a chemical smell, like, it's just strong.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this listing's still up, especially like a kid product like that.
And those type of things are things that you can detect when you order the sample, right? If it smells like that, like don't do it, or find a way to solve that. That might be a better idea. By the way, have you found a way to work with smells? Like when the product is very plasticky and it will have a bad smell? Have you have a solution for that?
Well, I haven't had to deal with that personally, but ever since going to that Boston factory tour a while back with a person who specialized in anything liquid in a bottle. He didn't specialize in customer service, something like that, but he had an entire section dedicated to scent and had a lot of cool studies of, like, say, dog shampoo. And we went with the dog shampoo. He sold dog shampoo, and it bombed because it had no scent. And then they decided to, like, what is the scent of clean? And they just added that scent to it, so it could just be on the packaging or anything else. And all of a sudden, it did amazing because people were using it and they're like, it does nothing. Well, because they could smell something that they associated with clean, that it was amazing. So I would say it'd be fairly easy to put like a scent pack or something inside of it, just to mask the plastic smell.
Okay, that's good.
They do sell a little plastic thing, a little round cylinder. It almost has like salt inside. You put that in the package, it sucks up all the smell. A chemically plasticky smell, I don't know if it would do it for that. But I have seen that little plastic thing, it's like a little jar inside of things to like retain that smell.
Okay.
The other hack he said, and I've heard this from a few other people since, was, and I'm forgetting the name, but it's like in a lot of these malls, you walk by and like the smell hits you because they sell like, my wife gets these like Japanese cherry blossom candle, and it's like all these crazy scents are inside this store. Anybody know the name of this? It's like a
Yeah, like bed.
but anyhow, they apparently put out a hottest, huh? No, it's not Bath and Body. That's the one that comes to mind, and I always get it wrong.
Like the bath store or something like that. Like it's.
Yeah, and they put out apparently like a scent, hot scents or something for every season that comes out, and they're like 99% right apparently. Like they dominate that. So what other people do is they go look and say, what are they saying is going to be hot, this, whatever, and they will use that. It's kind of like a safe standard or whatever. I can't believe I'm not getting the name, but you can find any crazy scent you want inside the store. Like a candle, soap.
Bath and Body Works. There is.
I call it a candle store. It's other stuff. Yankee candles. Oh, Yankee candles. No, they have Yankee candles in there. Actually, Yankee candles don't even do that good as all the others. Anyhow.
Okay.
Yes.
I actually have a friend, they produce plastic toys for Amazon as well. And they really like the factory and the same problem, the smell of the toys, like plastic and rubberish toys, was the main reason of bad reviews. So basically how they figured it out by, after the production of the products, they kept the products like in the open space area for 2 weeks. So they tried 1 week, didn't work, 2 weeks was pretty good.
Okay.
That's how they figure out. And the bad reviews about the smell went up.
That's good.
Yeah, that's. I bought this product 3 or 4 times because like every year I forget that I bought it another year. And I think it's a different one, and I buy it, and I watch it. And then and I remember, and I go back, and now it says you bought this a few times since. But it's every single time it smells, so maybe these people haven't changed.
Okay. All right. So another thing, avoid BS benefits and wrong details in your images. Like I found this. hexagonal shape provides reinforced stability. So that's total BS, right? Like reinforced stability would be like complete like square. So, and that's really not a benefit. It's just something random that they decided to put in there. So avoid anything that doesn't add value to the product. This is another example. This is a watch box, and they're having a woman there looking at a bunch of male watches, and the box is just very big, so the proportion is not right. So avoid having just like random things. It's really much better to know what you're doing and be very precise.
Hey, so can I put you on the spot with that one?
Sure.
Like, for example, would you have avoided that shot altogether? Like imagine if your product was the watch box, right? Would you have avoided that shot altogether, or with that shot, what would you have done different?
Well, if I wanted to use that one, I would use like women's watches, and the box needs to be like the right size. That one is just huge, and I guess with that would be decent. Like if the Photoshop is better done, like that's not really cool.
But actually, it's not a bad picture. If there is like only the woman, it's like a lifestyle image picture. Also, if you would have changed the color of the text, it's too dark, so it's like not emphasis, and it's blending too much. So it's not a bad picture if they would cut it.
But don't you think that the details are off? Like,
Clearly.
yeah.
The idea is clearly read what they're saying.
Yeah.
Well, there's a description in the middle. I can't even tell what it says.
Yeah.
There's no contrast.
I would have done like a point of view, like a over-the-shoulder shots where you know just enough to catch if they wanted to have a female looking at it, that it was a female or maybe a hand or whatever on the box and making a decision.
Yeah.
I just don't like this.
Totally. So now talking a little bit about branding. A few recommendations for branding, like having a consistent color scheme according to your brand and target audience. Like it's important, like that's why the most important thing is to know who you're selling to. If you're selling like a sports product and it's mostly for men, then the colors are gonna be black, red, silver, like the colors that are gonna be for that specific target audience. So it's very important to have that in your listing as well. Harmony of elements, no saturation. Like usually something that's minimalistic, it's much better, much better. Avoid poorly designed images. Obviously Photoshop images as well, don't do good. High quality brand assets, your logos, your fonts, and all the elements that you use in the pictures, make sure they're high quality. And also, sometimes, I mean, we're not experts in this, right? So we can model what's working for other people. So let's take a look at the bigger brands and try to model what's working for them. And of course, like invest and hire the experts, hire the designers who will make the logo, who will make the color scheme and all of that. So I'm just gonna show some examples here. So for this product, this is a consistent color scheme. Like it's same colors, it looks very clean, it's easy to read. The font is big enough, so it's a good set of pictures. So for logos, things that you shouldn't be doing in your logos, like this one I found. So it has that funny picture in there with many colors. It has green, red, black, and it looks like a clip art from the 90s. And it has also two fonts, the main one and another font down there, so it's not harmonic. This one is not easy to read. It says Jim Reapers, but it's not a good logo. This one, I don't even know what it is, but it's also just like a random logo and some text that doesn't have any formatting or anything, so avoid anything like that. This one is from an actual e-bike. I was looking at the product and I didn't buy it because of that logo, because they have the logo in the actual bike, so I don't like it. So that's one of the reasons you shouldn't do like bad logos. And even like big companies make mistakes. Like Airbnb, that was the original logo, and it's not easy to read, so they decided to change it, but that was the original logo. So good logos, for example, something like this that's very easy to read, easy to remember. It goes with what they're actually selling. And for example, like in the Gaiam case, they use the same logo for different branches of the business or different things they're offering. So ideally, if you're planning to expand your brand, you want the logo to work with the different things that you're going to offer down the road. So consider that if possible. Discrete logo placing, this is very, very important. So for example, this versus this, right? So it has the logo, but I mean the one on the left is, I just wouldn't touch that product because of that. Harmony of elements.
Can you go back? I was replying to something here. What did you say on this slide?
I mean the one with the big logo, very visual, in my opinion, is not the best, and many people avoid buying products that have like huge logos. So usually having something very discreet, small, even if it's not like that, like not the full name of your brand, because if you're not like a popular brand, people don't care and they don't want to see your name all over the product. So it's just having the little logo, the actual drawing, that's enough. Harmony of elements, when you're creating your images, like you see here, the same globes, they did a really good job. The colors, even the guy, the shirt that he has, like it goes with the same, it's harmonic with everything. Same thing there. Few colors, it's not necessary to create like a rainbow of things. In terms of fonts are also very important, because I see that many people still use the default fonts for everything, like what Word gives you, that's the font they use, and that's not good. So for example, this product, they're using this very nice font that goes with the type of brand that they are trying to convey. So it just looks like there is design there is there is work behind that, and it looks like high quality. The colors and all of that. So it's always try to go for something like that and avoid something that looks by like the default font.
How do you find different fonts?
Well, I mean online and what? Sorry.
Like different fonts. Let's say like
Adobe fonts.
Adobe fonts.
Yeah, it depends on the designer.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like looking at. That's why I said like looking at what's already there. Like if you look at your competitors, some of them will have like really nice fonts, and it's not to copy exactly the same thing, but at least you can give that to your designer and say like, I want the same type of look, not the same font, but the same type. Mm-hmm.
So I'm missing the point on this chart. The fonts, I mean, they look like standard fonts to me. I'm missing the point.
Okay. Well, maybe it's very subtle and maybe it's a little bit subjective, but in my opinion, for example, the part that says washable, reusable, it looks like almost like a custom font. It's not the one by default. Like if you use Word font, the Arial or Times New Roman or something, it's something that's very popular, and you look at it and you identify it with many other things, so it doesn't look unique. This is really like something that will give personality to your brand because it's a unique font, and it's clean and easy to read. That's super important too. But there is an element of being very subjective here, so that's why it's important to use the tools to have feedback. So if you have different fonts, maybe you want to run it through one of these tools to see which one is the one that people are preferring the most.
You test it.
Yeah, like in PickFu or the other. So color harmony. I came across this tool which is very cool. I mean, if you like to play with these things, it's called Paleton.com. It's free, and you can find which colors are harmonic with each other, and there are like many settings in there. It's very cool to give this to your designer. Like, okay, use this combination of colors because visually it's harmonic. It's actually very mathematical the way they calculate this. So something like this can be useful. Okay, so so questions so far? No? Okay, A+ content. So A+ content will ideally give you 3 to 10% additional conversion rate if done right. The thing is that everybody's doing it now, so if you're the one not doing it, you're just missing out on that. So this is really to take advantage of the additional space. Many people just repeat what they already have on the other pictures. It's better to use it for additional things like instructions, how-tos. Also, you can include UGC or user-generated content. This is great to add credibility, and it's a little bit more hidden than the main images. You can also cross and upsell related products from your brand. This is a great place to do it. You can also share your brand story, like how you started and all of this. And keywords are not indexed in the A9 algorithm, in the A+ content, so just keep that in mind. And we also have A+ premium content, and this is when you already have 15 approved listings in the last 12 months. So they will give you these additional tools, so you can create, like, you can put video in your A+ content, you can create FAQs, you can do some different cross-selling things. So it's really cool to have, but you need to have a few products to be able to have access to this. Now some examples of some of these that I consider really cool.
More cats.
More cats. So the colors usually are very, like I like vivid colors like that because they stand out and people tend at least to, you catch the attention. So it's better to have that than a gray color. And they have FAQ, which is great. I mean, the first one is A+ premium content, and the third one as well. The one in the middle is if you don't have the premium, you can have something like that. Instead of having like a bunch of text, you can have just these images. These images look great on mobile too. So usually the majority of the people are browsing in mobile. So having something like that, it's usually very effective. It's just like having more images in your listing.
May I just hear something quickly that I just recently learned? So by the way, yes, I am a cat fan, but what is really important about this design is also that there are different cats. What I've seen, like, since we have the breed that we adore, we created everything about the breed. But what we recently found out, again, via Picfo, is like people have different type of cats, and they don't like that one cat that we adore, you know? So having different breeds or different like cats who look differently, actually that's more welcoming.
That's very good. Yeah, it's very good. And also the main one is kind of funny, like the face of the cat and everything. So this is like another version when you have text. I don't like that a lot because personally I don't read any of that. But I mean, people do it. This is an example of A+ premium, which has like more interactive elements, and it looks very cool. Like all the black things looks very professional and elegant. This is another one that has like the interactive elements. And if you see, like the best ones, at least in my opinion, are with the catchy colors. So try to have that, if it goes with your brand, of course. Storefronts. So storefronts, it's another location where you can like create great pictures. So again, same brand. Usually the goal for a storefront is to upsell and cross-sell. So you want to show everything that you have, And this only makes sense if you have more than one product, or a few products at least. So, and then you can run traffic, you can run PPC to your storefront, and it's a good idea if you have really good images like that. So these are examples. I mean, these are huge brands with a bunch of products, so they're able to create these very nice things. But the idea is that it looks really, really professional. These are examples of stores that don't have that many products, but they have variations. For example, the candles, I mean, that has a lot of candles, but you can create something like that even if you just have one listing and you create all the variations in there. And another thing you can do in the storefronts is showing that you have deals. For example, Prime Day is coming, so you can show Prime Day deal, and if you're running paid traffic to that, that's gonna help you with conversion. And Mars, the M&Ms, it's usually a really good example for a store that's running promotions. This is another example of a store that's not like a huge brand, but it has like just a couple products, but still they're still taking the time to create a professionally looking store. And because some people, before buying your product, will click on the store to see if you're actually like a real brand or something. So it's a good idea to have that. I mean, and if you're just starting, like, you have priorities and you have limited resources maybe, so it's like, this is not priority, but down the road you want to do it. So, and as a bonus, AI is your friend, and now we have Midjourney, which is this amazing tool that allows us to create images. I'm not using any of those images as the final image, but I'm using it to create briefs for my designer. So for example, if I were gonna sell like a razor or something, I can use an image like that to tell my designer, this is the type of picture that I want to have. And another example, I actually created this yesterday. So it's you have to play a little bit with the commands. Sometimes you get really weird things, but you can get like a really good idea for your designer.
You can use ChatGPT to get the prompts for Midjourney.
Yeah, that's true. But in my experience, it's not really that necessary. You can play with, for example, that one was like a redhead woman with a dog in a park, and I uploaded the picture of the product of the carrier. So I uploaded that, and then I gave that simple description, and then it gave me a bunch of images, so I chose that one.
Sometimes if you don't know how to describe the image, so you have a reference image.
Yeah.
You take the image, you put it in Midjourney and say describe. It's going to give you roughly an idea of the problem, so you can start know how to describe it.
Yeah. So those are examples. Here's, I actually did the example with the watch box. So it created that. And I think it's better, but still, obviously, that's not a final picture. You would need to work with that. And this is another example. You can give this to your designer, and this is the type of image that I want. Or even like you could create like the guy and everything without the backpack, and then actually Photoshop your actual product in the guide, because that really looks like a picture. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're yours. I mean, they charge depending on the thing that you want. I think I pay like $30, but that's like, I get unlimited pictures, so I get to play with that.
So it's unlimited a year?
No, 30 a month, but they have a free version too. Like you can get a few pictures for free, and it's good to play with it.
Question.
Yeah.
What about commercial usage for what you create on Midjourney?
I'm not an expert in that, but I think that it's free to use in any case. Yeah. this is another example of what you would use Midjourney for. Something like that will help you to design your brand feeling, right? Like you can give your designer this, and this is like, okay, my water bottle, I want it to look this cool. So create something like this, and your A+ content and all of that can mimic these colors. And it's really hard to come up with something like this or to describe something like this with text. So using it for that is really useful. So with that, Q&A, and thank you.
Any recommendation for future from a sport where use a real person, show the face, not show the face, or use mannequin?
When it comes down to testing, I found that if you have like a face, it works better because it helps you to connect to that emotion part, like a friendly face, right? So if you have a friendly face, it's gonna like a smile or something, that's usually gonna work better. And also, like what Noemi was mentioning, like if you're able to include different people, that's going to be helpful, but that can get expensive. So if you're starting, like just do like one model for everything, and that's it. Like focus on the quality of the product and the size and all those things. That's it? No?
Because like right now we learn about the main image, we learn about A+ content, we learn about storefront, we learn about the rest of the images. Obviously we would prioritize main image. We are fixing that until that is perfected, then we're going to the next step, or what will be the prioritization? Because it's like, in total, it can add up to a lot of money. Obviously you would invest this because then you're paying less in advertising. So what is your thought process?
Yeah, you're right. Like the main picture is your priority because that you will see the immediate impact on your PPC costs, and you can measure the click-through rate. So that's super important, and it's actually very easy to test. Like you can have it for a few days, and you will see the difference. So that's one of the first things you can do, and then if you did the work about like learning about your audience, then it's easier to create the rest of the images. I would focus on those two, and then like I would work on the EVC, and at the very last, the storefront.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
How many images would you recommend?
As many as it allows you. So right now it's 7 if you don't have a video, or 6 plus a video. I mean, you can upload, I think, 2 or 3 more, but they're not visible. Only if people click on the image, then they see the other 2 or 3. So that's not really worth it. At least have 6 really good ones plus a video, or if you're not doing the video, 7.
All right. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.